want to start with culture because I felt like that's one of the things, and teamwork and building those teams, and it's just a theme that has just been surrounding a lot of our conversations and our educational sessions here at MURTEC. And we heard from Dr. G that having a good culture at a company is the #1 reason why employees stay at a company. And fostering we heard about the importance, from Katie about fostering an atmosphere for growth and innovation. And I wanted to take a few minutes why it's important, Mary. Let's start with you. At Pizza Factory, why is it important for you to have a good culture at your brand, and what you're doing to really lift that up?
Yeah, primarily Pizza Factory is a sit-down pizza like a lot of you grew up with. So the culture is apparent when you walk in the door, or should be. So the culture is not only at our corporate level, it's down to the franchisees and then down to their team. And the guest culture for us is really important, that it transpires even into their experience, because sitting in a dining room, getting that business built back up like we're all trying to do, the experience has to be one that reflects really what your company's about. Technology's great. I know it has to happen, but there's a fine line between technology and where you start to lose your culture. And I think that's one of the areas that we work really hard on, is making sure that we are still representing what we were 40 years ago. I still believe people want community. They want to be engaged with other humans. I don't think it's always going to be off-site premise, at home, online ordering. I choose to believe that. I choose to believe that because I think that's what we can make happen. I don't think just because everything is out there and says you need to do this doesn't mean you have to do it all. So I believe that our team works really hard at making sure our culture, and one of them is as far as technology, is the Gift-A-Meal program, which is a great program if you haven't heard about it. And basically what it is in our stores, there are table tents and so on, POP material, and there's a QR code. So every time they scan the QR code, they take a picture of their food that they're having. And it goes, and then it sends it out to all these different avenues of social media. And for every picture that's posted out there, let me tell you, they are amazing photos that these guests post. Pizza Factory donates meals to the local food banks in that community. So it's a win-win. It's a great reflection of what our culture is, which is about community and giving back. And it also allows our guests to feel good about coming in and being able to also participate in a program that they know they're doing something for their community. So that's been a really big win for us recently. We just started that. But, and that's the fine line, I think, with culture, as far as what the other ladies might say, is how do you maintain that culture in a world where technology is driving us to be less engaged? But that's not our culture. Our culture is to have people come in. So.
Yeah. So when you have culture and you're heading up marketing, Jodi, can we talk a little bit about some of your tech wins and some of the big projects that you've rolled out?
Yep.
In your nomination, I thought it was great that someone had mentioned that you were more than a chief marketing officer. You're a gifted, creative, productive delegator and an ambitious thinker. That's pretty high praise coming from your team. You helped create a loyalty program, and you started an online ordering system. Can you tell us about one of your recent tech wins with third-party integrating?
Yeah.
Third-party delivery.
Yes, so it's kind of funny to even be nominated for this award as a marketing person. That never would have happened, 5 or 10 years ago. And now, and we don't even have an IT department at our company. It falls a lot in marketing these days because it's integrated not only with all the programs we're using, but with our customers. And that's who we're talking to. So we've had a lot of wins. I mean, like I said before, we had nothing. We did have a database of 12,000 emails. And when we started our loyalty program, started with that. And now we have 650,000. Those are people who want to hear from us, which is great. So it's a very captive audience. We've also recently integrated with Flybuy. And integration's a big piece for us. We basically won't use any new technology if they're not already or not willing to integrate with the systems we have. And I'm sure the Flyby team can tell you, we've been talking for years, and we were waiting until they were integrated with Olo Expo because our shops already use that. So between Flyby, and I can talk about that in a little bit of where we're going, but also with Olo, you mentioned delivery. One of the main reasons we chose Olo at the beginning, 7 years ago, was because of their integrations with delivery partners. And just in the last 18 months, we pulled a number that we've been able to save our shop owners $1.7 million in commission fees.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and that's just by getting people to order directly through us, which has a whole other line of benefits as well.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. So you touched on integration and some of the challenges that, as a small to medium-sized operator, that, it's difficult to integrate systems. Could you have any tips that you've learned along the way to help navigate, that integration battlefield?
Yeah, bottom line is if it's not simple to use, people won't use it. And especially in the franchise system, we're 100% franchised. So we are training constantly all of our shop owners, and then they have to train all of their employees. And so the fewer systems we can have, the fewer touch points that they have to go to work the systems that we're providing, that's the only way this is all going to work. And so integrations are huge. And so all of our systems, whether it's Altimetrics in the back of house or some of the ones I've mentioned with Punch and Olo and Flyby and even Soshi, which is we use for social media and reviews, all of these things have to be integrated as much as possible together to make it easy.
Mary, do you have anything to add on integration?
Yeah, I feel your pain on that one because I know for the franchisee, again, it always for us goes back to you as well, the franchisees, what are they having to deal with? And if they have too many pieces and too many different people to call and there's a problem, so the franchisees' experience with all that technology that's coming out, integration is huge, and finding the least amount of people to do that because you can get very segmented and all of a sudden you find yourself with all these different companies that you're working with. So it's a big deal for us. One of our biggest accomplishments, we got everybody onto the same POS, which that was a huge challenge, but they're now on there. And online ordering, we use Punch as well. All those things are integrated into that POS and it makes a world of difference, but technology is technology. It never works 100% all the time. It never goes without bumps, and I wish that would be the one thing that we could figure out, but it is really important to have integration. And the only thing I would add as far as for our brand that we are franchisees as well, it's explaining and trying to get them because they just want to run their store. They just want to work. They want these tools that you're giving them. They don't want to know how they work. They don't want to know all this stuff. It's understanding the why we're doing it, what are the wins, and making sure you test it enough before you do roll it out brand-wise. But I think the communication piece with your franchisees is so important, not just to throw something out there and say, this is what we're doing it, you're doing it. So that's a huge one is communication.
I'm glad you mentioned communication. Can you tell us a little bit about you are fostering those communication channels with your franchisees? What some of those initiatives that you're doing to build that trust?
Yeah, the trust. Well, again, coming from being a franchisee, I had a little bit of what I knew I was missing or wanted. Not that the previous guys weren't good, but there wasn't all this technology. So, you try to hit all the points because everybody hears you differently. They don't necessarily read your newsletter. They don't, you've got all these different ways. And, it's really true that you have to say it several times before they actually hear it. So we do newsletters, we do podcasts. I try to do a podcast at least once a quarter so they hear what is going on. And then my staff, they do PFACs, we call them PFACs. And we're constantly trying to communicate with them through whatever medium it is that they're going to respond to. But I will tell you that one thing that we're working on right now is having a system where we talk to them where they are most at is on their phone, where everything will be there. They will get their every communication, no more emails to the crew or my staff, no more emails, no more texting. It will all be within this platform. Two things, legally it keeps everything that's being talked about in a nice safe place, so if ever anything comes up. But the other is that it's very easy on the phone now. They can go on there, they can get a snapshot of their sales, they can get a snapshot of how they compare with the other locations. What's the latest best practice that a franchisee is sharing? It's not just about us.
Yeah.
Our franchisees have great
So you're meeting your
ideas.
franchisees where they're at,
Yeah.
and communicating in the
That
way.
phone.
Yeah, on the phone,
Yeah.
absolutely. So Stephanie, I wanted to talk to you about some of your recent tech wins, and you've had some great integrations at the customer-facing ones with the touchpad at the checkout at Jersey Mike's. Being a customer of Jersey Mike's, I know this. So I was wondering if you could talk about the challenges that you guys have faced integrating technology and how you overcame them, or any advice that you have for other operators here in the room.
Sure. Yeah. I think at Jersey Mike's we're in a little bit different of a situation where we have a lot of our own like proprietary software. So we have our own POS. We do our own mobile app. We have our own website, online ordering, loyalty, which really gives us an advantage. So we could be very flexible and adjust as needed. So for us, even though we still own all of the software and we have a team of developers, like there are times where it is kind of keeping it all working together could be challenging. But mainly when it comes to integrations, like our challenges really are more so with the third-party, marketplace providers. I guess you have kind of two options there. You could use an aggregator, you could build it yourself. We went the route of building it ourselves, and which is great. It's in the long run, it's much more cost-effective, we find. But it's also a lot of maintenance, and it's direct integrations, and they're all very different. So it's kind of challenging finding that middle ground there to make it easy to manage.
So can you tell us, Stephanie, what you're working on now? How are you using AI?
Sure. We have currently partnered with SoundHound. So we have a pilot going where we are utilizing their AI service to answer the phones in stores. So they can handle anything about basic questions about store information, to even taking orders over the phone and then delivering them to the store. So that's where we're currently at with that. We're also kind of looking to use AI to help with some smarter order throttling and pickup time.
Order throttling.
Yep.
Awesome. And are you testing that now as well?
We're not. We're still kind of in the development process.
In developing.
Of figuring that
Well,
out.
that's exciting. That's exciting. Mary Jane, can you tell us a little bit about how you guys have been piloting AI in various fronts?
Yeah, and comes that culture for me. And I will say I was a real no, not yet. Let's look before we start having AI talk on behalf, because I know I don't like calling and getting somebody talking. So for us, the biggest thing is back to what you're talking about with SoundHound. We have Reachify, and I know for us what it really, especially we have one corporate store, and the one comment I got back from them was how much it cuts out the robocalls and and it saves so much time on just that.
Yep.
But for me, it's I'm really, really picky about how it's answered. Like our tagline is, we toss them, they're awesome. So I really want to work on the next step is getting that AI to speak more like we would speak. So the word awesome coming in and talking and having a voice and they're getting better at that, by the way. But I had a sample the other day of what some of the stuff you can do, and it's pretty incredible how fast it's coming. So sometimes I think it's slowing down and waiting till technology gets to where you want it to be, or you find the partner that has it the way you want it to be. For me, it's how do we keep that culture?
Yep, that's awesome. Jodi, can you tell us about some of the projects that you're working on now?
Sure.
And what's how AI might play a role in the future? What you're looking at as our marketing guru?
So two that come to mind. One is through Sochi, our shop owners need to reply to reviews, and Google puts a lot of weight on that. If you're going to be found. And so Sochi uses ChatGPT now, and to your point, we've been able to train it which did take some time, but we've trained it to talk in our brand voice. We're a little edgy, a little irreverent. And so we didn't want simple answers. We wanted it to, we always say we want to talk either like Ryan Reynolds or Bill Murray. We say Bill Murrify it. So we've been able to train it so that it's writing these reviews, and shop owners can still tweak them a little bit if it's not quite right. So that's one piece. And then the other piece of technology that we tested through 2023 and we're launching now is working with Flyby. So a lot of restaurants are going to drive-thrus. Our food is made to order, customizable. It's all fresh, and so it just doesn't lend well to a drive-thru. So we've worked with Flyby, integrated with Punch and Olo, and our goal is to be faster than a drive-thru. We're using their GPS technology, tracking customers when they order, not just for curbside, but also even pickup and even delivery drivers. And our goal is to literally be standing on the corner, on the curb as the customer pulls up. So a 15-second or less transaction, pull up, chuck the food in the car, and they're on their way. We call it Mad Dash, and so we're rolling that out everywhere right now, and we're thinking that will be a game changer for us.
Awesome. That sounds
That's a good point about Soshi. You're right, because we have Soshi too, and you're right, because your ratings and your reviews are so important, and franchisees do not want to do it. So that tool that they rolled out, that's worked really well for us as well as we see things going. Because that algorithm and all those things that start going above my head, as my team will know, but how important those things are. So AI it's still, to me, it's still keeping AI to where gets out of that.
Manageable.
Yeah.
So, Mary Jane, you mentioned, you're using AI to help respond to those customer reviews, but you also have a person. What is the name of that role that you have?
Jenny, her name, she's Director of Brand Culture.
Brand culture.
Yeah, and it sounds like a cliche kind of title, but it really isn't for us, because it really does reflect what she does. And one, she keeps our staff and what decisions we're making to make sure that we're staying on brand, because sometimes you get caught up in stuff. And the other is she will look at those reviews and make sure that it's being addressed, or if there's one that needs to be handled really by the store owner. So she does interject in there, but she does a great job of still being that voice.
And keeping your corporate brand intact, which is huge and a challenge. Do you have any tips for that to add, Jodi?
We actually push our shop owners to reply. So we're answering any that come into our office, but it's really on them to do it. So that tool in Soshi, not only with the Chat GPT, but we've loaded it with answers that we've written. So we write them in our brand voice, whether it's a 1, 3, or 5-star review. Sometimes we'll put our brand voice in. There's times where you don't want to be funny if someone had a really bad experience, and so we just try to give them the tools to run the business as easily as possible. It should take 5 to 10 minutes a week tops to answer these reviews if they're just picking from a drop down and maybe changing 1 or 2 things.
Awesome. Stephanie, how do you balance operational improvements versus the must do, like maintaining existing systems
Sure.
with you and your team?
Yeah, again, because we have a lot of our own stuff, there's always a lot of must-dos to kind of keep all of the systems operating. But we just try to just kind of pick a vision and stick to that. We choose the things that are most impactful, that are going to get you closer to where you want to be. And then when it comes to the balancing the must-haves, it's really just kind of evaluating their need and making sure, kind of communicating that to the rest of the stakeholders outside of IT, so that they understand the importance of these things that you need to also work in, that may not have a forward-facing, impact, but would also be detrimental if you didn't do them.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned getting buy-in. When you're managing change, what advice do you have for getting that buy-in, especially when it comes to technology, across your team and internally and in your franchisees?
Sure. I think it's important to kind of try to make some data-driven decisions there, and really kind of if there's something you feel very strongly about, try to pull in the data to make your case as to why it's important, and then also involving the stakeholders in the decision-making process. We've recently more so started doing that, and it's been pretty effective in being able to help kind of prioritize all of the things we have on our plate and figure out what direction like we collectively as Jersey Mike's want to go in.
Mary Jane, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, first of all, Jodi and I were looking, we're very jealous that you have all this in-house stuff and that you have that ability to create your own stuff. But we have a franchise advisory council, and that's another way to run it by them and see what their opinions are, to show that, and it is important. You don't want your franchisees to just think you're making decisions at the top without any thought or like you said, data to back it up. We get testimonials from our franchisees that were in the testing stage with it to say how they felt about it. So to really give them, so it's not just coming from us.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you are leading the charge, and you've been very forward. And I think you're being a little modest. You've been very forward in looking at technology and adding technology. So where does that come from? What drives that innovative thinker in you, makes you become a tech evangelist, because you really are doing cool stuff?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is I think you're either driven by challenging yourself. For me, this is a challenge, and I don't look at anything that happens as a problem. I only look at what is the solution. So when you see what other people are doing and brands that can do it much better and faster than you can, because I just don't think we need to operate, even though we're a small brand of 116, I don't want us to operate like one. I want us to operate like a brand that's 1,500. I want to, see what they're doing. So I believe that you really have to look and be aware of what's out there and go, okay, how can we apply this? Or should we apply this? So I think that's, for me, it's really a challenge to try to keep us competitive with the other pizza places, Pizza Hut, Domino's, any of those. So that, to me, what drives me. I don't want to be Pizza Factory here. I want to be right up there with the rest of the guys. We may not be in size, but we will be in technology.
Awesome. Jodi, you've been a big evangelist for adding technology at Teriyaki Madness. Do you have anything else to add about fostering change across your franchisees and internally and across the company?
Yeah.
Since you really don't even have an IT department.
We don't have HR either. That's fun though.
So how many locations do you have?
Stephanie's over here going, what?
No IT, no HR. We have 150 locations now, and we're opening like crazy. So for us, it's about what you guys said, collecting the data, but proving that the technology is worth it. So we'll run our pilots, we'll gather the data and the testimonials. And then a lot of times what we'll do is we will roll things out going forward to new franchisees and new shops, because they don't know any different and they're excited. And actually a lot of our new franchisees sign on because of the technology we have. We've heard that a lot. And so we roll it out moving forward, and then we go backwards to kind of prove to the older, set in their ways franchisees of why we need to do this. I mean, when we rolled out the app and delivery and online ordering, it took 3 years to get some of our early franchisees to adopt it and get on board. Took a while. And now they can't imagine life without it.
Okay, that's awesome. So what else can you tell us about your upcoming tech plans?
Tech constantly changes. So once you add it, I mean, our life was very simple before we had it. But like I said, it's changed our entire business model. And so we're always trying to get ahead. Pre-pandemic, we always said we were about 3 years ahead of other competitors, especially for a brand our size. And so now we're looking at what's the next big thing. How do we get 3 more years ahead? And we look at ourselves too as a neighborhood shop. Our franchisees are very involved in their communities. And so we always say we are a neighborhood teriyaki shop on the front with high tech under the engine. And so the big one for us is just how do we prioritize our smaller budgets to what is the next big thing that's going to have the biggest impact.
Is there anything that stands out? What tech are you most jazzed about adding in the future? What is there anything you got your eye on and thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, right
the glimmer
now,
of your eye in your eye right now.
anything that is a revenue driver. I feel like for the last 4 years, is that pretty broad?
No.
But for the last 4 years, we've been playing defense. We've been working on things for profitability and COGS and labor and efficiencies in the kitchen, and everything has been on the defense. And we are back on the offense. And so everything that we're doing now is increasing traffic, increasing ticket, and increasing overall revenue.
Awesome. And Mary Jane.
Yeah, it was interesting. We're primarily based in California. Yeah. So there's a big challenge there, and it is because everybody's raising their prices. So you have to keep in mind when you see, and you can't applaud yourself and go, oh, look at our sales are up. Isn't that great? We're doing wonderful. Well, they raised their menu prices. Where's the ticket count going? Is it going in the right direction? So you're right. It's this year for us. It's also trying to drive guests to the stores, but also increase the profitability, because driving guests to the stores and increasing ticket average doesn't do you any good if your profitability for your franchisees are going down. So we're really looking at this. That's our whole year this year is what are we going to do to start moving that back up the profitability, because they're just, especially in California, they're just getting hit left and right.
Yeah. So in California, the minimum wage, rising food costs,
Insurance,
just across the board, like others, and some, not maybe some of those big challenges that you're facing out there in California. That definitely. So how are you going to respond to the increasing minimum wage in California? Is it going to affect how you price your pricing and rolling that out across your franchise?
Yeah, you have to be careful. You can't tell your business owners what to do, so we give best practices, but we're on a full gauge. The team that's here, I have my marketing and ops team here to see what's going on, but it was definitely raising prices, but we have to figure out how to use technology to not necessarily keep increasing costs for the franchisee, this program, or the corporate office. It's just figuring out how to drive the business and get them in there, back into the dining rooms for us. It's not just delivery and so on. Third party, of course, hurts because it's taking away pizza, your delivery. Well, now you got the third party, so you're losing some there. But anyways, bottom line, I think it's just really the things, again, like gift a meal and getting our reviews up and trying to make the presence stronger and really identifying value, whether it's the value, because we do the same. We make our dough on the premises. Everything's made from scratch. We do not commissary, have frozen products, so that's a lot of labor. You can't stop that. You can't just say we don't do that anymore. So figuring out ways to show the value, and not only the product that they're now paying a lot more money for, but the value of the business that they're supporting, what we do for the community, and figuring out how to balance that to where you have these value segments of the menu that your franchisees aren't going to go, don't go too low, but that will get our guests to realize that you're coming to whatever brand you go to, you come to there for a reason. And it's the quality of the food. A lot of people have good food, but I think that especially with the newer generation and people in general, I think kindness, we have an anti-bully program, so we really promote friends are awesome. We go to schools, talk about it. It's going out and walking the talk. It's not just saying you do it, you're showing that you're doing it, and then they'll want to also support you.
Off-premises dining has skyrocketed and since the pandemic, and remains strong. I was wondering, being Pizza Factory and being an integral part of those communities, what other initiatives do you have that are underway to help drive that dine-in traffic where the check spend may be a little bit higher?
Yeah. And you know what? We've got a new catering program coming out, which is huge. That's another segment to really focus on for those off-premise. But to get the guests to come in, for us, it's looking at, one, what are the things, the atmosphere, what are they going to feel? People, 100% believe this. People still want community. They want to go celebrate their kid's birthday. They want to go celebrate after the Little League team. You have to show again and show why coming there, you're creating memories. And you need to have the tools to be able to create those memories. And some of them are, like I said, whether it's gift a meal or our anti-bully program, and engaging your parent with their child more. It's getting that that more touchy-feely to get people to come in, because that's what they're going to get when they come into a dining room. It's not just the food. They're going to get whatever your staff is showing, but they're also going to see what programs you have and how you really are caring about the community that you're in. Because if you don't have the community supporting you, you don't have a business. So it's a respect on both ends.
Yeah, I know Jersey Mike's is big on its supporting the local communities, and the Day of Giving is it coming up?
Yep,
I've seen
the
those
last Wednesday
great
of this month.
ads with Danny DeVito and your founder later this month.
Yeah, so our day, so this is our month of giving, our biggest month of the year. But our Day of Giving is the last Wednesday of this month, the 27th, where 100% of sales go directly to charity. So it's is kind of like our Super Bowl,
Yes.
right? And so it's very core to what Jersey Mike's is all about, is like kind of giving back. And it's like, okay, how can we do that? Oh, let's make subs, to help raise money for charity. It's kind of how we see it. And kind of to second what Mary Jane was saying about just the importance of having a strong culture and sharing that with your customers. Really, truly, it's incredible to kind of see them reciprocate, right? We do want to position ourselves as like, hey, we're your local corner family deli. Like, come on in. We'll have those connections with you. That's very important. So especially when it comes to technology, our goal is to find ways to supplement that instead of kind of take that away. So we still want to connect, our customers with our crew and build those relationships.
Awesome. So I'm going to give you as our IT resident on our panelists. What technologies are you most jazzed about adding in the future?
I think continuing to work with AI, kind of on the periphery for now until we get very comfortable with it and it's what its capabilities are and what the risks are with it. But I really think there's a huge value there to, again, kind of supplement all the things that we can do. I think the keynote speaker said it really well yesterday, kind of trying to find ways to use AI so you can allow the people that are left in the stores to be more human and maintain that human interaction.
Right, exactly. Just to maintain, to do, yeah.
Yes.
Great. Well, wonderful. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add? Okay. Okay, great. Well, please join me in thanking my panelists this morning and sharing your insights and your success.
Thank you.